Welcome back. I'm a little late to reviewing this, but let's go ahead and discuss the latest episode of Agatha all along. This one actually moved the story along. We got some nice reveals, some good twists, and a little bit of nostalgia for past horror movies. So this one was actually more interesting than the others, given its shorter runtime. It was 32 minutes, and with these shows having about 5 minutes of credits, this was by far one of the shorter episodes we've had for a Marvel Disney Plus series in a while, besides What If. And so this one, let's sort of dive into it. This one picks up where the last one left off. They're on the road. They're waiting to find the next house, but this one sort of gives us more of that supernatural feel to it. The Salem 7 are very much in pursuit. And Lilia she knows that they're coming, and so they're sort of trying to scramble, discussing whether they should fight or run or what they're going to do. And they end up Teen's idea, because he's always one with the ideas. They get brooms, so they're going to fly away over the forest, over the road, and just get out of there before the Salem 7 catch up. And although it's starting to work, as they barely get away with some creepy shots of the Salem 7, they seemingly make their escape, but the road is forcing them back down. So they then encounter one of the 7 again. They end up seeing the house. They go toward it. They get inside, close it up before they get there. So this is pretty standard. The Salem 7 sort of threw in some interesting shots into this beginning part, but the last 3 episodes have pretty much been the same thing, where it's the road, then a house, then the road, then a house. So that was nothing new, but the Salem 7 being incorporated was something different and interesting. And the whole thing with the brooms, was it a little corny? Maybe, but it was kind of nostalgic at the same time, sort of poking fun at the stereotypes of what these characters are essentially supposed to be. And so I thought it was just a fun little thing. Does it matter? No. Is it worth complaining about? No. Did it add much? No. It was just something neat just thrown in there. It really was unimpactful, but it was just one of those nice little things they just give you. So that was there. And when they get into the house, it's sort of almost supposed to be treated as comedic, but the way it was shot, it really wasn't. And so they find this Ouija board, and this is Agatha's trial to go through. And the Ouija board is supposed to have them talk to the spirits, so when disturbed. And as they begin this, of course, Teen, he finds the Ouija board. And so as they're unscrambling the name, it's Mrs. Hart, and she possesses Agatha, and she's talking about how she died, and she turns out she couldn't trust the witches. Turns out Agatha was just messing with them. It really wasn't Mrs. Hart. And the thing is she's sort of trying to avoid her own truths. And I think that's one of the things that just kind of solidify her as a villain. So, although being the main character in a Marvel project, I'm assuming she's going to try to be given a redemption arc. I hope they don't give her one. Just let her be the villain. Marvel needs more villains. They've turned enough heroes or enough villains into heroes. Look at Loki. Look at Bucky. Look at Yelena. I think we need more villains who stay villains. And so I just hope Agatha's one of those, because in the grand scheme of things, even if Scarlet Witch comes back, whether she does or not, we have Doctor Strange. We have Clea, I guess, in the next movie. We have a lot of magical characters, but we don't have a lot of magical enemies. So I think she could fit that role if they keep her around and keep her a villain, but we'll see what they end up doing with her character. And so as she goes on with the episode and talks to the spirit, it ends up being her mother, as we find out, but not before we get some creepy shots of her possessed that look very similar to how the characters did in the movie The Exorcist. Now, I personally have not seen The Exorcist. It's high on my watch list, but I've seen the images and I've seen the clips and the videos from the movie, and Agatha's possessed makeup and eye color and just sort of the overall character design sort of mimics that. So it's a nod. It feels nostalgic, and it's sort of a nice salute to what's honestly a very impactful movie in the horror genre. And so I thought that was interesting they put that in there. And it turns out that her mother's spirit wants Agatha to stay. And as she's betrayed her coven so many times before, the rest of the coven, except for Teen, wants to just throw her to the wolves. They want to just give her up, let her stay with her mother, because that's what the road needs. They all have their own end game in mind for reaching the end of the road. And if sacrificing Agatha is what it takes, so be it. And so I like that these characters actually don't really give a crap about each other. They're very much going to use each other. And right before we sort of have this final altercation, Alice ends up attacking Agatha, and of course Agatha takes her power, and ends up killing Alice. And so we now have another character that's perished in the series. So we're now 2 characters down, and of course, Aubrey Plaza's character, Rio Vidal, she's just not really doing much. She's claiming that that Agatha can't stay there, but she's just sort of giving her input. She doesn't really get directly involved. It's almost like she's either playing both sides or doesn't want to get involved, because if the Funko rumors are true and she is death itself, it would make sense why she doesn't need to get involved, because she very much could control the entire road. So, irregardless of that, Alice does perish by hands of Agatha. She seemingly has her powers back, and as Teen scrambles the Ouija board one last time, it turns out it's Nicholas Scratch, which would be Agatha's son. So although we do have the rabbit she calls Scratch back at home, it's unclear whether or not she's just naming the rabbit after him, whether he's in the body of a rabbit, or who knows what's going on. So there's still a lot of mystery to that character, and I think it'll be very interesting to see him make an appearance in the show in either a flashback or spirit form or something. We hear a little boy's voice call out to his mom, which is Nicholas Scratch, but we don't see a present version of him. We don't see him. We just get really that one line, and that's it. And so I think there is more mystery behind his character. So I look forward to seeing that unravel going forward. And the big twist for the episode is, after seeing Agatha just pretty much kill Alice, Tina's upset. He doesn't want to sacrifice others. He doesn't want to be like the other witches. He wants to actually help people. And he's sort of the naive one for the group, because no one else, everyone's warned him about Agatha. And as Agatha tells him that he reminds her of his mother. So, of course, we're all going to speculate this is Wanda Maximoff at this point. And assuming that to be the extent of the reveal, he actually mind controls or other 2 remaining witches to take Agatha, throw her in what seems to me to be quicksand, and launches them in as well, essentially neutralizing all of his threats minus Rio Vidal. And we have the crown form on his head, and in the color blue, same as the color of the magic he uses, which is blue. He very much presents himself as Wiccan. And so this was a reveal that I did see coming, but I wasn't expecting it in a boring way. I was anticipating it, because I was hoping it was going to be done in a very neat fashion, and it was. He proves his power. He overpowered essentially 3 witches with seemingly much more experience than him. And unlike the others trying to get their power to work or get as much power as they had, he clearly has a firm grip on his own power and has a great knowledge about it. And so to see him sort of betray the rest and sort of become the show's version of the villain, I think was interesting, even though I don't consider him the villain. He's Scarlet Witch's son. I mean, he's just either looking for his brother or his mother or his father, and whatever his goal is. Agatha's a killer. I mean, she's killed people before, and these witches are just sort of heartless themselves, not to Agatha's extent, but I think them being the villains of the show, treating Wiccan as the villain for this, I thought was interesting. They didn't portray him as a villain, it was just the way it was shot. It was meant to be a big, shocking betrayal, but I'm for it. I'm glad he betrayed them. I'm looking forward to the rest of his story. Even before the reveal, he's been by far the most interesting character. And so now he's presented himself as Wiccan and betrayed the other three. I'm very much now looking forward to the next episode. I want to see where the story's going. Will Nicholas Scratch have any impact on the story? Will death itself work with Billy, or is she going to fight him now? We don't know if Mephisto or agents of Mephisto get involved at all. We don't know what's at the end of the road and who will claim the prize. We don't know if multiple characters can claim the prize if 2 or more survive. So I think the show is finally revving up again. It's finally building the anticipation and I think the hype that I've been waiting to have. I wanted to have it for the others and I just really didn't. I was hopeful, but I didn't have this excitement or this anticipation as I do now. So if the next episode is a dud, it would be very unfortunate because right now I'm very much looking forward to seeing what's next. I want to see what Wiccan does. I want to see his backstory. I want to see how he practically played everyone this whole time. So I'm liking the show. It's not my favorite Marvel show. It's not my least favorite by far. So this is just sort of in the middle, and it's sort of kooky a little bit with their, the way the comedy is and the supernatural elements being part of it, but not feeling really like horror. So I think the blend really works for how the characters are written and portrayed and how the scenes and the sets are all filmed. I think it really makes this look like a really good show. It's fun, it's a little goofy, it's a little spooky, it's got some interesting stories, and now we got some great character development with now Agatha and Wiccan. So we'll see what happens next, guys. Thanks for sticking with me for this review. Let me know what you thought of this reveal, and I will see you all, guys, during our next video to review the next episode. See ya.